Welcome back, everyone. Today I have a recipe for you for blueberry and lemon scones. These are bright, fruity, dotted with delicious blueberries, and they are perfect for Mother's Day. You want to start by preheating your oven to 400 degrees. The ingredients you need are pretty simple, and that's one of the reasons I love scones. Let me run you through the ingredients. You're going to need all-purpose flour, milk, kosher salt, baking powder, some vanilla extract, granulated sugar, lemons of course. I usually use 2 to 3 depending upon how much juice I get. 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, a splash of vanilla, some powdered sugar, and last but not least, some delicious looking blueberries. I will have the recipe listed below in the description box. I'm also using a silicone baking mat. You guys know I love these, and you don't have to grease it, and it makes baking these so easy. Before we get started on our dough, I'm going to use my microplane and just take the majority of the zest off of 2 lemons. In case you don't know, the zest is just the very yellow part. You don't want the white pith that's bitter. And this is going to add so much flavor to both our scone dough and also our glaze. So you need a little over 2 tablespoons, and then we're also going to use the juice from these lemons. So depending upon how juicy your lemons are, you may need 2 to 3. I'm just using my citrus juicer, and I got 1/4 cup, and then I got a little bit extra. These lemons were excellent. So you need 1/4 cup, and then you're going to need a tablespoon, possibly a little bit more for your glaze later on. So to start putting together our dough, it's really easy. You're going to add all of your dried ingredients, which are your flour, your sugar, your baking powder, and your salt. And I'm using my stand mixer today, but you could just as easily make this in just a regular bowl with a regular spoon. I've done it that way several times. So the first step is just to combine your dry ingredients. Next up, you want to add cold cubed butter, and I like to cut my butter pretty small. It does most of the work for my mixer, and this is what will give your scones that beautiful flaky texture. So if you are not using your butter right away, pop it back in the fridge and keep it there until you're ready to use it. You're going to let the paddle break this up a bit, and it's going to turn into small pea-sized bits. Next up, we're going to start adding our wet ingredients. So we're going to add our milk, and this dough comes together very quickly. It's a very easy dough. Next up, we're going to add our lemon juice, and I don't strain this at all. I leave the little bits in there. Just make sure there's no seeds. And you can turn your stand mixer up as your dough forms. Now the goal is to mix your dough as little as possible. So you want to add your lemon zest, and then last but not least, your vanilla extract. And then as soon as it is combined, you want to turn your mixer off. The dough is really light, and you can see the flecks of the lemon zest. So you just want to scrape it off your paddle into your bowl, and then we're going to move on to the next step. This dough is a little bit sticky, so you want to make sure and flour your surface. I'm just using a clean countertop. You want to turn out your dough, and this dough is really easy to work with. It's very light and fluffy. You don't want to overwork it though. And the last step is to fold in your blueberries. These blueberries were so big and so sweet. After a few weeks of not being able to find blueberries, we got the pick of the bunch, so we were really excited, and I was really excited to use this in this recipe. So you just want to fold them in. You can mix these in with the mixer or with a spoon, but it will break the berries up. You could also use fresh strawberries in this. That would be delicious. Maybe even strawberry and orange. I think that might be the next one I try. So you just want to combine your blueberries. I probably used more than a cup. These were just so good. And you just want to fold it over until they are combined in. Just until they're combined. You don't want to overwork it. Right before you cut your scones, I like to sprinkle my dough with a little bit of flour and then reflour my surface. Then just form your dough into a loose rectangle. One of the things about scones that I love the most is that you can make them rustic looking and they're still absolutely beautiful. I used to make scones with my grandmother all the time, so this is a special recipe for Mother's Day for me. As you can see, the blueberries are all studded throughout the dough. So we're going to go ahead and cut the rectangle in half. So think of this as 2 squares, and then you can either cut them into 4 square shapes, or you can do what I'm doing and I just cut 4 triangles out of each side. So you will have 8 scones in total. And you'll notice I'm using a bench scraper to do this, but you can just use a sharp knife, that works just as well. Next, we're going to transfer our scones to our silicone baking mat, and then we're going to pop them in the oven. So this year, Mother's Day is a little bit different, I think, for most of us. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are doing. Are you doing anything fun or special? I would love to hear from you. So after you spread out your scones, you're going to pop these in your 400-degree oven for 15 to 17 minutes. These cooked for about 17 and they were just golden brown. They looked and smelled amazing. And then I just left them on the silicone mat to cool while I made my glaze. So the glaze really couldn't be easier. It's just powdered sugar, and then I add a tablespoon or so of lemon juice, and I had a little bit of lemon zest mixed in there, and then I just use about 1/8 of a teaspoon of vanilla. You just need a very little bit. Then you just mix to combine. If it's too loose, you can add a little bit more powdered sugar. If it is too tight of a glaze, so it's not dripping off of your fork, you can add a little bit more lemon juice or even just a little bit more water. And then you just want to drizzle these over your scones. The more rustic it is, the prettier it is, in my opinion. And once the glaze sets up, you want to store them in an airtight container, or you can even pop these in the freezer and they defrost wonderfully. So I've done that before too. But I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. This is another childhood recipe for me. I used to make these with my grandmother all the time. I used to think they were so fancy. So if you're looking for something springy, bright, super delicious for somebody special in your life, whether it's just for a spring pick-me-up or if it's for Mother's Day, give this one a try. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And make sure you hit that red subscribe button if you are not already subscribed so that you don't miss out on any future videos. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the next video.